Callers of the state requesting while being checked on her son, Donald S. Mayer, born in 73, his wife, and their teenage son.
Minutes from now, deputies responding to this call will make a grim discovery: the decomposing bodies of Donald Mayer and his wife Tatiana. What they don't know yet, the couple's teenage son Nikita has just spent weeks living with his parents' lifeless remains. 17-year-old Nikita is a straight-A student with big ambitions. For months, he worked with an online network to engineer an elaborate scheme, one inspired by the Unabomber, Ted Kaczynski. With Nikita already miles away, police now find themselves in a race to stop him before more lives are lost.
We have a feeling like we know what happened and when it happened. We have no idea why this happened. Okay? The only one who knows why is you. All right? This is your story.
Nikita was born on September 19, 2007 in Moldova, a small European country sandwiched between Ukraine to the north and east and Romania to the south and west. But his parents eventually split up. But his future took an unexpected turn in 2015 when his mother, Tatiana, met Donald Mayer on an international dating site. Donald and Tatiana hit it off, and before long he flew to Moldova to meet her and Nikita. Over the next year, he met them in Europe on more than one occasion, and in 2017 he traveled overseas once again, this time to marry Tatiana in Moldova. Tatiana and Nikita emigrated to the United States later that year and began their new lives with Donald in his upscale home in Waukesha, Wisconsin, just a few miles from downtown Milwaukee. Moving to a new country was definitely a challenge for 10-year-old Nikita. That said, he did about as well as could be expected for such a life-changing transition. He even became a naturalized citizen in 2021 and began attending Waukesha West High School the following year. According to his teachers, he was polite, hardworking, and involved in lots of clubs and after-school activities. As a junior, he had perfect attendance and was named Student of the Month by the school's health department and was in the process of joining the National Honor Society. Even so, Nikita didn't have many friends. It's unclear why, but his parents wouldn't let him get a driver's license either. Like most teenagers, he resented the fact that they exerted so much control over his life. Without wheels, he didn't have much opportunity to socialize with kids his own age outside of school. As such, there was an underlying current of tension between Nikita, Donald, and Tatiana. Unsurprisingly, he turned to internet chat groups to get what he wasn't getting at home or at school. Over time, the bright and well-rounded Moldovan transplant underwent a remarkable transformation that almost no one knew about. At least Donald and Tatiana didn't know about it until they get a surprise visit from FBI agents in 2023. Needless to say, they were shocked when agents told them that they were investigating suspicious and potentially illegal activity from an IP address linked to one of the computers in their home. Unfortunately, we don't know anything more because the details of the investigation weren't released since the case was eventually dropped. But we do know that run-in with the FBI didn't scare Nikita straight. Instead, it may have steeled his nerves and actually accelerated his radicalization. Later that year, using the online name Awoken, he began communicating with members of a shadowy neo group known as the Order of the Nine Angels, or O9A. The group primarily...
I'm so tired that these channels block out words like Nazi. Okay, neo-Nazi. Just say neo-Nazi. Jesus Christ.
promoted the idea of accelerationism. In a nutshell, it stated that Western society and governments were so hopelessly corrupt that they had to be destroyed so that a new social order could be created. O9A was apparently founded in the United Kingdom in the 1960s or 70s, but Nikita was allegedly communicating with the Russians, or at least he thought he was communicating with the Russians. Whatever the case, he messaged other O9A affiliates on TikTok between December 6th and 8th, all in 2024. In one exchange, he referenced Charles Manson and said that his parents would take away his phone if they knew what he was up to. On Telegram the following month, under the name Accelerationist, he asked who would get blamed if his plans were successful. Later, he mentioned a manifesto that he was writing. After that, he talked to an unknown user known as Angel of Death about purchasing a drone capable of dropping bombs, as well as headphones that could block out the sound of a .357 Magnum. There's no denying that Nikita was smarter than the average 17-year-old. As such, he must have known that secrecy was of the utmost importance. But like many...
Well, it's not very smart asking for headphones that block out the sound. Like, he doesn't know that those already exist. And they're not headphones. They're just, like, people wear them when they use chainsaws or when they go shoot guns. There's specially designed, like, ear blockers. I don't know what they're called, actually. But, anyways.
Young men his age, he apparently couldn't resist the urge to brag to an attractive member of the opposite sex. In late January or early February of 2025, he told a female classmate what he intended to do. It's unclear if she took him seriously or chalked it up to an adolescent male's bravado and delusions of grandeur. But before running off to class, he told her in no uncertain terms that it wouldn't end well for her if she told anyone his secret. It's unclear if Nikita actually thought he'd be able to carry out his nefarious plan. After all, how could a 17-year-old with no money, no car, and no driver's license assassinate a president or overthrow the U.S. federal government and single-handedly ensure the future of the white race? Nonetheless, he soldiered on and eventually realized that his mother and stepfather had some things he desperately needed, and he knew he would never get them until they were out of the way. At that point, his mother Tatiana and Donald ceased being human beings and became pawns, or perhaps more accurately, a means to an end. Nikita abruptly stopped going to school on Wednesday, February.
Like, imagine you have a child. You raise that child for 17 years. And then that's the reason you end up dying? Like, that is some crazy shit. That's totally crazy.
February the 12th of 2025. This was way out of character for the young man who had perfect attendance up until then. Skipping school was the first piece of the puzzle to fall into place that fateful day, but it wouldn't be the last. In fact, the scene inside the home that afternoon was nothing short of horrific. Over the next few days, Nikita electronically submitted a number of school assignments to prevent his teachers and school administrators from asking too many questions. Meanwhile, Donald's mother in Massachusetts got worried when she didn't hear from him as often as she usually did. Like any good mother, she called and texted multiple times to make sure that he and his family were okay. Eventually, she got this message from his phone. "Mom, I just want to take a break from all devices. We're fine." Her keen motherly instinct told her that something just wasn't right, and she got even more suspicious later when subsequent messages didn't match her son's writing or communication style. And as it turns out, she wasn't the only one getting odd messages from Donald's phone. Starting on February the 13th, his boss received a number of texts informing him that he was too sick to come to work and that he wasn't even able to talk on the phone. Donald's mother held off for nearly 2 weeks, but at 9:45 in the morning on Friday, February the 28th, she called the Waukesha Sheriff's Office and asked them to perform a welfare check on her son's house on Cedar Hills Drive. This is what the operator told the deputies who were dispatched to the scene.
Callers of the state requesting well-being check on her son, Donald S. Mayer, born in 73, his wife, and their teenage son. Caller got a call today from the teenager's school and advised that they hadn't been to school in a long time. Caller hasn't had contact with anyone there in a couple weeks.
Interestingly, the sheriff's office received another call about the Mayer family that day. An administrator from Waukesha High School had called to report Nikita had not been in class for approximately 2 weeks.
Affirmative, and has perfect attendance, so it's really out of the ordinary. They've been out of school for a little over 2 weeks, and no one's called him out.
At about the same time, Nikita took a number of photos of himself posing with his stepfather's Smith & Wesson .357 Magnum. The Meyer house looked neat and orderly from the outside when deputies arrived later that morning. They knocked and identified themselves multiple times, but when no one came to the door, they walked around the house to see if they could find an open door or window. But when they couldn't, they forced their way in. As soon as they did, they were confronted by the pungent and unmistakable odor of decomposing flesh. Moments later, they found 51-year-old Donald Mayer covered in bedding and surrounded by candles on the floor of his office. It was hard to tell, but it looked like he had at least one gaping gunshot wound to his head. After that, the deputies found Nikita's 35-year-old mother, Tatiana, on the floor in the upstairs bedroom, according to some accounts, in the hallway possibly. Either way, she was covered in bedding and had been shot multiple times. As for Nikita, the family dog Toby, and Donald's Volkswagen Atlas, they were conspicuously absent. Neighbors told investigators that Nikita drove away in Donald's Atlas on the morning of Monday, the 24th of February. That meant that the possibly armed double murder suspect, who had previously been investigated by the FBI, had a 4-day head start. And when the authorities pinged Nikita, Donald, or Tatiana's phones, they were all nearly 1,000 miles or 1,610 kilometers away in Cheyenne, Wyoming. They continued pinging the phones over the next few days to track Nikita's movements. At that point, they had no idea if he was driving aimlessly or was following some pre-planned escape route. Whatever the case, he traveled through Wisconsin, Illinois, Iowa, Nebraska, Colorado, and Wyoming before ending up in Waukene, Kansas, late on the night of February the 28th, the same day that his mother and stepfather's bodies were discovered. At approximately 11:25, a local officer saw a silver VW Atlas with Wisconsin plates run a stop sign just a few blocks from I-70. By then, the Waukesha County Sheriff's Department had listed the Atlas as stolen. They also added notes in the system to alert authorities in different jurisdictions that the driver was a person of interest in a double homicide and should be considered armed and extremely dangerous. As such, the unsuspecting officer in Waukene, Kansas, knew he had his hands full when he ran the VW's plates. He thought the driver might flee and lead him on a high-speed chase, or even worse, he could stop and engage him in a potentially dangerous and deadly gunfight. The next few moments were unimaginably tense as the officer accelerated up to the Atlas and hit his siren and lights. The vehicle pulled over moments later. The officer drew his gun and ordered the driver to get out with his hands up. And moments later, the door opened and the driver stepped out into the darkness. Thankfully, Nikita complied with the officer's commands and was taken into custody without incident. The officer realized just how lucky he was later that night when investigators found the .357 Magnum handgun in the Atlas just an arm's reach from the driver's seat. The search also turned up $14,000 in cash, Donald and Tatiana's driver's licenses, phones, bank cards, and a pile of Tatiana's jewelry, along with the family dog, Toby. Waukesha County detectives spent a lot of time building rapport with Nikita when they interrogated him on March the 11th of 2025, shortly after he was extradited from Kansas back to Wisconsin. Nikita told them about life in Waukesha, and he took obvious pride in the fact that he was such a model student.
So you guys lived in Waukesha, you, your mom, and your stepdad. I know you guys got a dog, Toby.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
In that same house in Cider Hills?
Yes.
Okay. Going to school, going to Waukesha West. How's West? How's high school?
It's good.
Yeah?
Good grades.
You do well?
Yeah.
What do you enjoy?
I suppose history the most.
Yeah? Okay. Anything you don't like about school?
Just waking up in the morning,
Having to go?
Any clubs at school?
Yeah. The environmental club,
Okay.
the like Interact is called. It's basically like local community type of volunteering.
Oh, okay.
Then FBLA.
What's that?
It's like it stands for like Future Business Leaders of America.
Oh,
And there's
okay.
different like things you can choose, like different events or topics. And I choose cybersecurity one.
Okay.
I was in the process also of joining a National Honor Society as well.
Okay. Grades are really good then, obviously? Okay.
Were you
Your
ranking?
grade is okay.
Yeah. Where do you rank in the class, do you know?
Third.
That's pretty good. All right. What's the plans after high school?
I was thinking Madison.
Yeah? For what?
I was thinking something STEM related, maybe engineering. I wasn't entirely sure.
Like, what is the, like, if you're thinking of a dream job, what is it? Don't know yet?
Hard question.
Yeah. Most kids don't know when they go through college.
Engineering. That's a lot of math. Trying to do a math lover.
Yeah.
Okay.
Up until then, his time with the investigators was more like a pleasant meeting between new friends than a bona fide interrogation. But eventually, they had no other choice but to address the business at hand.
We have a feeling like we know what happened and when it happened. We have no idea why this happened, okay? The only one who knows why is you, and why you were out in Kansas and why you left, okay? And I'm really hoping you talk to me about why this happened, more than what, all right? This is your story. Nikita, understanding the above stated rights, are you willing to answer questions at this time without the presence of an attorney? And like I said again, if you want to see what questions I ask and choose not to answer those, you can. If you want to answer all of my questions, it's up to you. This is your show.
So can I say no to that, or is that like a?
No, these are your rights. No one can make you talk to us. Okay? This is whatever you're comfortable with. I can't make you talk. You don't have to talk to me. All right? I'm telling you, the point of us talking more than anything, I promise you, Nikita, is that I want to know why. So that I can tell your family in Massachusetts, so I can tell your grandma Lydia, because I've talked to Robert, I've talked to Judith, I've talked to Tanya. I didn't talk to Lydia, my partner did. No one understands why this happened. And they're looking to me to give them some of the answers, and I can't give it to them without talking to you. So you can tell me you don't want to talk.
Yeah, I think I'd rather first talk to an attorney.
Okay, that's your right.
After Nikita exercised his right to remain silent, the investigators left him alone in the interrogation room to think about what he did and contemplate his bleak future. 2 hours later, an officer escorted him to a different part of the building before he was transferred to the Waukesha County Jail. The detectives didn't get the confession they were hoping for, but as the investigation continued, the authorities uncovered a mountain of damning evidence against Nikita. First, they found his 3-page manifesto.
Like, for such a smart kid, what a fucking idiot. Like, why would you just throw your life away because you're trying to kill the president or something? Like, what the hell? How could you go off the rails like that? If you're that smart, like, what's missing in your brain? Like, I don't understand.
Accelerate the collapse on his phone. In it, he talked about assassinating the president and possibly the vice president, creating chaos, and saving the white race from what he described as the Jewish-controlled politicians. The manifesto also included this statement: "Hail, hail, the white race, hail victory." Investigators also found home security footage which showed Nikita manually adjusting the camera in Donald's office, lighting the candles around his body, and saying this: "So you can see him there. I can literally see the rotten body there." It's unclear who he was talking to, but investigators suspected it was someone on the phone, possibly one of the unidentified Russians who were allegedly selling him a bomb-dropping drone. Based on the phone ping data, they also determined that he murdered Donald and Tatiana on or about February the 11th. And even more shockingly, he lived in the home with their decomposing bodies for nearly 2 weeks before fleeing. But despite his shocking behavior and radical rhetoric, the authorities ultimately concluded that Nikita was primarily driven by financial interests. Nikita was initially charged with stealing the VW Atlas and the .357 Magnum and for using his mother and stepfather's IDs and bank cards to obtain money. But unsurprisingly, he was eventually charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder, 2 counts of hiding corpses, and 1 count of intimidating a witness for the incident in school when he told his female classmate about his plan. Nikita remained in custody under a $1 million bond, and his trial was initially set to begin on March the 2nd of 2026. Despite putting together a relatively airtight case, prosecutors offered Nikita and his defense team a plea deal in late 2025.
In consulting with the family, they were in agreement that this is a fair offer. I think it gives us the time period that we want for incarceration. So there's really no reason to put the family through a trial.
Are you able to say at this point what you plan to argue at sentencing?
I think that this is a maximum penalty case. I assume that that's what I will be arguing. I never thought anything other than that from the time I charged this case.
So do you think that there's a chance he's going to get out in 40 years, 50 years and be back in this community?
Certainly, I don't think he should be out in the community, and I would argue against that.
And how did you consult with Nikita Kassup as well, or just his attorneys? I know there was a lot of talk today. Like, did he actually understand everything that was happening to him since he isn't through high school and English is not his first language?
Right. I do believe, based upon the record that was made today, that he did understand everything. I communicated. I would never communicate directly with Mr. Kassup.
His English was amazing. Like, that's what I found weird in the interview. He had perfect English. And, like, I was like, well, didn't they just move to the States? Like, it didn't say at the starting of the video what age he moved to the States, but I thought he moved to the States, like, when he was already a teenager, so, and his English was perfect to me.
I communicated with his counsel, and I think it's a good resolution.
Nikita accepted it in January of 2026, and by doing so, he forfeited a number of rights in exchange for prosecutors dismissing the 8 additional felony charges.
Is it your understanding, sir, that you and your attorney are going to be free to argue for whatever you believe to be an appropriate sentence or sentences in this matter?
Yes, Your Honor.
And is it also correct, sir, that you and Mr. Raffel have discussed the parameters, that is, the extent of the sentences? That is, if you're found guilty of these 2 counts of first-degree intentional homicide, on each count it carries with it a sentence of life imprisonment without the possibility of extended supervision. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
But on the other side, there is an option where the court could allow for extended supervision eligibility, not a promise of it, but the opportunity or eligibility for extended supervision after 20 years you've served on each sentence. You understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
So it's not a minimum, but it's the possibility exists for extended supervision after 20 years on each sentence. You understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. And you feel that Mr. Raffel's explained that to you adequately?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right.
By then, 18-year-old Nikita was no longer the cool and confident young man that he was when detectives questioned him immediately after his extradition. In fact, his chair trembled noticeably during the subsequent court proceedings.
This also tells me you are not receiving any treatment for a mental illness or disorder. Is that true?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is it?
Well, he's not trembling. He's just probably shaking his leg like a lot of people do when, like, all the time. Like, yeah, when you're stressed, but you also just do that all the time. Like, it's a pretty normal behavior there. But
Is it also true that you've not had any alcohol, medication, or drugs in the last 24 hours?
Yes, Your Honor.
I give up my right to a trial. True?
Yes, Your Honor.
I give up my right to remain silent, and I understand that my silence could not be used against me at trial. True?
Yes, Your Honor.
I give up my right to testify and present evidence at trial. True?
Yes, Your Honor.
Anybody in any way force you to give up these rights?
No, Your Honor.
Did you commit these offenses?
Yes, Your Honor.
So as to count number 1, as to Donald Meyer, did you intentionally take some action? My understanding is that you used a handgun, a pistol, or a revolver And you shot him and caused his death, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you do that intentionally?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you knew that shooting him would cause his death?
Yes, Your Honor.
And as to count two, Tatiana Kasap, and the same questions for you. Did you take an action? Did you use a handgun to shoot her and kill her?
Yes, Your Honor.
Was that your intent, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
You admit you committed both of these offenses?
Yes, Your Honor.
Nikita is currently being held in the Waukesha County Jail awaiting his sentencing hearing, which is scheduled for Thursday, March the 5th of 2026. The judge could go easy on him and make him eligible for parole after serving just 20 years for each count of first-degree murder. However, the district attorney made it clear that the prosecution would ask for the maximum sentence. And, in all likelihood, the young man from Moldova, who once held a bright future, will probably spend the rest of his life in prison. We would like to express our sincere and deepest condolences to the victims' families.
Wow, this is recent. Wow. But they didn't say that. It seems like the trial was, they judged him as an adult because he got adult sentencing, but usually kids under 18, I thought it was different. Maybe that's why they made him waive his rights and everything, but crazy. Like, how could you just, like, he looks completely sane, but he's definitely not all there. Like, oh man, crazy world. Anyways, if you like the video, please like, subscribe, share, comment. I would really appreciate it. And until next time, peace out.